Hi, I'm Zach Smith from Rainbow Resource Center. We're here today with Ray Notgrass from Notgrass Publishing, just to talk to him about dads and their role in homeschooling.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Enjoying our visit. We appreciate your work here and all that Rainbow does.
Well, I think you have a lot of history with homeschooling. You've obviously been in the industry for a long time, but we'd like to just start off just knowing, I guess, basically what your first impressions were of homeschooling.
Not particularly positive. I had an education minor in college, and my thinking was that teachers are the experts. They know what they're doing. That's where children need to be educated, was at school.
So somewhere along the line, your mind obviously was changed, and
Right.
what prompted that?
Well, as time went on, we enrolled our children in public schools, and the wheels started coming off. You know, we started getting incidents about that we didn't think were good. We knew weren't good, and so I revisited the idea of, maybe this homeschooling thing is not a bad idea.
Right. So how did it go at first for your family, starting this journey?
Well, we didn't have a lot of training and preparation, so in our minds, to homeschool was to recreate the public school at home. So we did that. We set aside a portion of the den as a classroom. We put up a blackboard. Charlene spent a lot of time in the evenings planning classes, and we wore ourselves out.
Sure.
And it was a struggle because we were trying to follow other people's definitions, of what training children was about.
So in the end, what helped you decide that homeschooling was the right direction for your family to go in?
Well, we decided that this training our children thing didn't have to be a burden, but it could be a way of life. And that's how we approached it when we went back to it. We enjoyed taking trips together. We read books together. I would read books aloud, and the other family members, would be listening and maybe building with Legos or sewing something or something like that. And the approach that we took was more, this is what life's about. This is how we learn to live. And so that went much better, much more natural for us, and it worked well.
So obviously you homeschooled back in the early days of homeschooling.
Relatively,
here in the U.S. You were sort of having to carve out what this looked like as you progressed. But what would you say to dads in this day and age where there's so much more knowledge about homeschooling and so much more access to homeschooling material? What would you say dads really need to, know right now?
I would encourage them to be assured that it's really a blessing that they get to choose what their children will teach, because there are millions of American children who do not get to choose what textbooks they use, what courses they take. But homeschoolers can decide, can have input on what their children learn and how they learn. There are resources available. There is support available, both with local groups and with national groups, state groups as well. There is support that is available. I need to think about, what do I want for my children? What do I want for them? Do I want them to go to an Ivy League college? Do I want them to go in a certain profession? Do I want them to start their own business? Do I want them to work in my business? Do I want them to follow certain standards when choosing a mate? What do you really want for your children? But I think a key question that a dad needs to ask is, who do you want to teach your children?
Right.
Somebody's going to teach them. It could be the television, could be social media, could be a school teacher that you don't know anything about, somebody's going to be teaching your children. Who do you want teaching your children?
Right.
And to decide, I'm going to step up and make sure that that happens well, that I'm going to see to it that my children receive the training that I want them to have and that they need to have.
Right. So do you have any specific words of encouragement for dads? Since you've got some history there behind you, and there's some things you can say specifically that would encourage dads to stay the course and to hold that vision.
Well, stand by your decision. Don't wishy-washy back and forth, but consider the information, educate yourself on what's involved, make that decision and stay the course, and by all means support your wife.
Right.
When the decision is made to homeschool, most cases the wife will do most of the teaching. Now, I know there are plenty of cases where it's a single dad or the dad does a lot of the teaching for whatever reason. It's important to support them also.
Yeah.
But when you and your wife decide to homeschool, stand by her. Don't say, well, that's your decision. She doesn't need that.
Yeah.
Again, homeschooling can produce academic excellence. That's been shown time and time again. Homeschoolers can do a good job in work, in starting their own business, in lots of ways. You can succeed with your children in homeschooling, and I would just encourage dads that that's the case. I understand that there are questions they have, like, isn't this a lot of work? Well, yes, it is. So is learning how to play golf.
Right.
So is anything of any value. Yeah. It's going to be work. Again, it's not that it's just going to happen. It takes initiative, being proactive, guiding the situation, and that takes work, involvement, but it's worth it, and it's what we need to be doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
What you've had to say. I think it's very, very helpful.
Good. I hope so. Thank you.